Hello, and welcome to Teach Time in the Afternoon. I am Miss Adventure in the Classroom, your friendly neighborhood critical educator, and I'm here to walk you through how to become a more critical teacher who engages their students in critical knowledge building by developing their critical thinking skills. Because when we talk about critical thinking skills, it normally kind of just stops with, like, yeah, think hard, think deep. That's what we mean. But actually, there's a lot more to being a critical thinker than that. We talk about those five dimensions on my show, The Colors of Critical, every morning. So if you're interested in that, check that out. You're not going to want to miss it. But here in this afternoon session, I'm talking about my RIPE critical knowledge building system, which includes these lovely visuals that you see behind you. So you can develop these critical thinking skills by using this system. It uses touchstones, which are what I like to call anti-standards. And this is the one for the week. On Sunday, I'm doing a lesson we're learning a lesson that has the power to solve problems. I'm doing it a history lesson over high school topics with this idea. How can high school history solve problems? That's an interesting thing to start critically thinking about in your classroom. And so I'm going to show you how to engage each one of these learning actions. Today is Revere. So we're going to talk about, what does it really mean to honor lesson purpose and meaning? What does that look like? How can you engage in meaningful dialogue with your students in a way that helps them revere knowledge? This is just one of the verbs that your students can develop a relationship with your lesson. There are four paths you can take, and reverence is where we start in the critical knowledge building tradition, because before we go on to all the other stuff, we want to say, okay, what's good? What's the purpose of this lesson? What has it been born of? What situation led to this lesson being created? And then what led to it being taught in schools? These are interesting things to think about. And my touchstones, for which each of these four categories has over 100, which I consider knowledge prompts. So this idea up here is a prompt for you to discuss the knowledge being discussed in your classroom. You will take a critical pause as you're teaching art, as you're teaching science, as you're teaching math, whatever it is, and you're going to say, hey, how can we solve problems with what we're learning right here, right now? And the more your students travel down that path and be like, okay, yeah, I can solve problems with this knowledge. And now I revere it. Now I have a meaningful relationship with this knowledge. Now I'll spend more time interacting with this knowledge. Once you cultivate reverence, man, it's a great jumping off point, because you're starting with the good, man. And what's better than that? Nothing's better than the good. So let's go ahead and dive into my knowledge of the people, by the people, for the people, where I pull a philosophy quote about what it means to revere. So, well, I'll toss them in there. Give it a shake. I'm going to pull from, I always pull from the middle. I want you all to trust me on that. They're random. I mean, I've prepared them beforehand, but there are so many elements to these four learning verbs that I didn't want to plan everything out. I want it to be a little more improvisational, So let's see what it is today. I can't read it backwards, but it does say Plato. I can read that. So Plato is a great place to start. Okay, come on. That's a good quote. That's a good quote, and it gets to right what I was talking about. Let me read it. Thank you, Plato. A grateful mind is a great mind, which eventually attracts itself to great things. Oh man, I'm going to read that one more time. A grateful mind is a great mind, which eventually attracts itself to great things. Plato. Okay, so, oh, I love this. All right, so my theme that I've chosen is ennoble. Ennoble. So that's part of what we do when we revere. We ennoble things. We make them good by engaging in this act of revering. If you begin to talk about how your lesson can solve problems, see how I do it this Sunday for $1.50 for Patreons. If you do this with your students, oh my gosh, they're going to see that reverence. They're going to begin to develop, they're going to see this lesson as more noble than before, right? They're going to see it in a new light and it's going to be a little shinier, right? So that's what I mean by ennoble. You're kind of bolstering, strengthening the idea of this lesson, of this knowledge, and letting them understand how noble it is to you. As you share that information, it begins to ennoble what you're teaching about. Now, this has been the way we've addressed all lessons. Not very well, I would say. We haven't really gotten into the heart of what loving is. We kind of just revere knowledge on this very surface level of like, this has been handed down to us. I have to teach this because it's important. And it's important, kids. It's important. You know, good teachers like you flesh out that conversation with their students, right? But the right critical knowledge building system is here to help that process because it's a lot of work. Like sometimes you look at a lesson and you're like, seriously, what good is this? And that's when we should start to push back. But that's another story. I'm just going to talk about revering and being grateful. So I really like this, the two different greats, right? Grateful is spelled differently than great. He's saying a grateful mind is a great mind, right? And I like these two being linked very much. And I think he's right because a big part of what it means to revere, oh man, when you are revering something, you you are so engrossed by it, just like you're engrossed by curiosity. In fact, I don't want to butcher his name. Gabriel Garcia Marquez says that curiosity is just one of the many forms of love, right? When you are in love with someone, you are so curious about their life, right? We want to have that kind of relationship with the knowledge in front of us. We want students to feel that way. We want their hearts to be racing when they show up for school as if they're showing up for a date, right? I mean, it's obviously different, but we want that level of thrill, that level of romance, not with people, but with ideas and learning itself, right? So when you are grateful, we all love people and we're not always grateful. We're not always in that state of mind, right? But it's a powerful state of mind. You learn more about your partner in those moments of curiosity, in those early chapters where you can't get enough of one another. You learn more about them than in any other time, right? And so, because we're engaged in the process of learning and knowledge building, let's harness that same passion. We can do that by loving what we teach, and we really do. But we sometimes have to remind ourselves the reasons why we love what we teach, right? Boy, don't we know it. We definitely know that. So, right, critical knowledge building is here to help you with that. That's what the touchstones are here for. Like, oh, yeah, that is why we teach this. It has the power to solve problems. Yeah, got it. What's another one? Another one, Revere 4 is this has the power. This lesson has the power to make the world a better place. Oh, yes. You talk about that in your class, but put it on the wall, yo. Put it on the wall. Make it academic in a new way. Justify love of learning in a new way. That's what we're here to do. So, your mind is working at its greatest when it's grateful. So we've got to give students reasons to be grateful for what we're learning, right? How can we do that? This is one of the things we do, right? We can also problematize. We'll talk about that in 2 days. What's today? Tuesday? Thursday is when we talk about problematize. And sometimes it's healthy. It's healthy to be desperately in love with things, right? But you can't spend your whole life desperately in love and like goo goo gaga over one another. You also have to have skills when your partner does something you don't like. You can't love everything about a person. That person is fallible and they're going to do bad stuff. We all do. And we're going to do harmful stuff on purpose, on accident. It's going to happen. So we have to, as much as reverence is huge and important and gratefulness matters so much, it's one healthy relationship you can develop with your students. You shouldn't leave it there. There are other ones that you should move on to. I want to make that clear. But man, gratefulness is powerful. So let's use it. Let's use it. Okay. So finally, he says that this great mind that is being fueled by being grateful will eventually attract itself to great things. I really love that because what that's saying is that when we engage in the act of revering, if we know how to love knowledge, we're going to have a much easier time loving people because we've strengthened the muscle of loving. So we're doing so much more than just getting knowledge here. That's not all we're strengthening. We are also strengthening a muscle that teaches them to love life. Huh, come on. And so there is no trajectory for someone who has this who understands love on a deep level. They are moving towards great things. Love is foundational to our work as educators, and infusing it using our relationship, what we're already doing in the classroom every day, and really making love part of the routine. Man, it will be effective for learning and for test taking, blah, 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 blah. I'm less concerned about that, but it will do that. But again, you wouldn't care about that either if it didn't affect your tests, your own accountability measures, right? Like, yes, of course, you want your students to do well and succeed at things. But bubbling in circles, come on, that's not life's important questions. Life's important questions are, can you love? How well can you love? And when is a time to love? And when is a time not to love? Man, these are the critical questions that we can begin to really engage in with a new way with this system. So, and not just my system. Let me be clear that this isn't the one and only way to love. That would be absurd. I just want to help you make more systematic, structured space for love in a new kind of way by taking a critical pause and saying, yeah, now is a time. Let's love this moment, huh? Let's love this because there's so much to love here. And let me show you how to find things to love. Let's strengthen that skill because it isn't always easy to find things to love. And wouldn't that be a helpful tool to have in your toolkit on those days when life is bad and we're doing nothing but problematizing? Come on, we all have been there. To be able to pull out our tool of reverence and that muscle that we built in school of like, okay, this, yeah, there's a lot to problematize here. But let me see if I can sift through this and find things to revere as well. And they will be more likely if they've strengthened it in school with your help. So this is exciting. This is an exciting project. Revering is dope. Okay. Super dope. Want you to check it out. A link for the Ripe Critical Knowledge System is in the description below. But psst, sign up to be a Patreon member. You get it for the price of $15 a month, but talk to me. Send me a message. There's information on my Patreon page about how if you can't afford $15 a month, I'm here for you. I got you. I want us to be revering. I'm not worried. Just like you're not super worried about your kids' tests. That's not what I'm doing here, is it? Is trying to get of 15 of your dollars every month. No, I want you to build a system of loving. And if you want to pay that, I'd love to have you because not only will you get the right critical knowledge building system, but also you'll get the entire Learning League curriculum for the month, which is a growing project. And eventually there will be 8 mysteries a month. For the fall semester, I'm almost there. Almost every month has 8 mysteries that I am also currently updating to include these themes. I made them before I invented this little system. So I'm going to be re-evaluating how I did those mysteries and including more of these critical conversations. So for $15, you're going to get the right critical knowledge building system and up to 8 mysteries. For $15, that's a crazy deal. You're not going to want to miss it. So that's something to revere. If you ask me, it's something to revere. You can decide what you think. How do you want to engage with that fact that I just threw your way? I think it's a pretty good fact. Sign up today. I'd love to have you in my teacher trust so we can have conversations around these ideas, the critical ideas at the heart of education that I don't hear that many people talking about. So let's start talking. Join my teacher trust. Join the $15 level a month for as long as you can afford it. We'll work something out. Love ya. Love ya. Love ya. I'm here to revere, man. I'm here to revere. I'll see you tomorrow when we'll be doing some imagination. How do you bring imagination into school? That's vague. Yes, it is. But I think I've got a way in. So you're not going to want to miss tomorrow. I will see you there. Have a great afternoon, you cute little teachers out there. Bye.